All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to day 5 of the King's Challenge. It has been such a joy and such an honor to support you amazing men as we have really come together to really explore and expose the biggest mistakes that gay men make, especially when it comes to building fulfillment in every realm of his kingdom. You, my friends, are the king of your universe, the king of your world. And so many of us, especially as gay men, have learned to let ourselves play small, let ourselves settle and question and overthink and doubt ourselves and focus on other areas to find short term pleasures and short term satisfaction and fulfillment. You're each doing the best that you can. But over the course of the last 4 days and including today, my main objective is to help you understand the efforts that are not paying off, that you get to stop doing so that you get to start creating more of what you truly want. On day 1, we dove into your sovereign desire, really tapping into what you most want for yourself as the king of your realm, to feel complete and satisfied and fulfilled in every area of your life. On day 2, we dove into really exploring what creates self doubt, where self doubt comes from, and the biggest mistakes that gay men make when it comes to building confidence, authentic confidence, not the mask, not the act in the show, but truly embodying authentic confidence in yourself. And why so many of us try to focus on external things to build ourselves up. But teaching you that that is not going to create a solid foundation of authentic confidence and trust, and what you get to focus on instead. On day 3, we took a look at what it means to rule in integrity, to really honor your desires and honor your vision for your kingdom by really putting in the actions and the behaviors that are going to help align you with creating the results that you most want for yourself. And together, we took a look at some uncomfortable things on day 3. We took a look at the biggest self sabotaging behaviors that block gay men from having it all, and really talking about what is going to be important to be looking at and focusing on instead so that we can get underneath those self sabotaging behaviors that make us think we don't have enough time, where we convince ourselves of these things and then feel like we've got the perfect excuse when in fact, you have complete control over how you spend every minute of every day. And rather than letting the old programming, the self doubts, and the insecurities make you feel like you've got to stretch yourself too thin to please other people and be who you think other people want you to be, you really get to step up and start doing what we did in day 4, which is really exploring and understanding why it's so important to speak with power, which means setting boundaries, expressing what you most want for yourself, expressing to the people in your world what you like, what you don't like, what your requests are, so that we're not bottling things up and suppressing things and making ourselves small, making ourselves invisible. Because people who engage in these people pleasing behaviors, after all, they repel the guys that you most want to be with. But what did we learn yesterday? This behavior actually attracts people who are more on the selfish, more narcissistic side of the spectrum. The guys that are not going to be doing you any favors when it comes to building a lasting, meaningful connection. Well, without further ado, who's ready to dive into day 5? We've made it so far and so excited to be supporting you all along this journey. And remember, the journey just begins here. This first process of the King's Challenge is really to help give you guys new insights, new awarenesses of, as I mentioned before, what's not working so that you can stop beating your head against the wall, trying things that aren't really getting you the results that you want so that you can begin focusing on what really will help. What we're going to do today is we're really going to be really answering all of your questions. We're going to see how much we can squeeze into the next 55 minutes. And yeah, would love to do some live laser coaching with any of you who wants to really get some laser feedback and support. This is a rare opportunity, and I'm really excited that you've all decided to show up for yourselves throughout this week and show up today. So I'd love to hear from some of you in the chat. What have been some of your biggest takeaways, some of your biggest aha moments that you've learned throughout this experience? What is it that you have most gained? What have you learned? What are some of your insights and aha moments? I'd love to hear from some of you, and I'd also welcome any of you to unmute yourself and share while we're in this beautiful virtual but face-to-face space. What have been some moments, some insights, some things that you've learned? I see more of you are still joining. Would anyone like to
Hey,
share?
hey, Zach, can you hear me?
I can, Julius. Hi.
Hi. Um, I have to say, I think um what I got out of the course is like mindfulness, and that's something I started to work on because
Yeah.
I also thought back um to when I did energetic, and one of the modules it talked about that intensively, and so it's just like hearing like all the videos and stuff from this week. I'm just like, you know what? That's something I'm already in. So I just wanted to say, like, it is okay to, put myself first, which is something I've been doing. And, and it's so refreshing because it's just like, for years, I always used to put people above myself. And now
Yeah.
it's just like, no, if I'm not doing something, I'm not doing it. And it's okay. That's
Yeah.
it.
Hey, it's not selfish to prioritize yourself, and that's what we talked a lot about yesterday. Who here can relate to what Julia shared? Show of hands that you've fallen into these patterns of habitually placing other people's needs ahead of your own, trying to do all the right things because deep down we want to belong, we want to be a part of something. And growing up feeling different, a lot of us learn that we have to put on masks or we have to go above and beyond to receive that validation and that affirmation to feel valuable and to feel important. And what happens is if our self-worth is tied up in what we can do for other people, what happens when we're not feeling like we're being of service or value to other people? We don't feel important, and that can really take a toll.
And I have to say, during yesterday's video, I was with one of my friends, so she was just listening with me. And she was like, dang, he's dropping some gems. I'm like, well, see?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm so
So
glad. Oh, that's
making,
beautiful.
making impacts across the spectrum here.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, these are universal tools and skills, but this is very specifically catered to the unique, challenges that gay men face. Julius, thanks
Absolutely.
for sharing. I'm so glad you're here with us today. And Andrew, I can't pronounce your last name, Andrew V. Would you like to share?
Yeah, so it's Veezy, my surname. Sorry, I'm just
Please.
getting used to the new tablet. Yeah.
It's
So
okay.
what I liked is that I am actually recognizing in myself, and I am very much a people pleaser. So when I'm teaching my university students online, oh, can I do this for you? Would you like to book another session in? Don't forget, I can always send you a handout, blah, 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 blah. And I've
Yeah.
spent so long kind of doing that because I've worked in my industry 15 years.
Yeah, and how has that pattern, been affecting you, that going above and beyond? It's coming from a loving place, but how does that
Well,
you in the end?
I got a distinction in my university teaching qualification in one of the modules. So I'm really, and my students are really happy. But in terms of my personal life, I always put other people before me. And I've owned this flat 39 months. I've only had people stay over like three times in that whole period. And I'm like, no, no, I've got to do this. And my father passed away back in April last year, and I was doing my masters and kind of kept me going. But actually, why should I kind of keep sitting in watching the telly? And I've been on telly like 10 times on GB News, which I don't know whether you get over in America, but it's a new broadcaster that launched back in
Yeah. Well,
June.
hey, Andrew, I'm gonna pause you there. Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing. I think it's so important. The first step in change is awareness. So many
Mhm.
of us are oblivious to these behaviors and patterns because we're so
Yeah.
used to going through the motions. We're so used to doing what we know, and when
Mhm.
we look at our calendar, look at our schedule, it can feel like we really legit don't have the time to
Mhm.
do the things that we most want to do for ourselves because we've unintentionally or unknowingly allowed ourselves to say yes to so many things, to so many obligations that are
Hmm.
stretching ourselves too thin, that are filling our calendar in hopes of feeling important and feeling valuable. I'm sure, Andrew, you feel great when your students feel like they really appreciate you and they're
Yeah, I
so
do, and
grateful.
I
They're
love
so
it.
yeah, they're so grateful that you're so generous, but at the end of the day, that's not helping you have that loving partner to share your bed and share your
No, I mean, I work from home because of the pandemic. My
yeah,
my sessions are literally I will walk. So my desk, if I can turn my camera around,
yeah.
can I do?
Well,
I'm not used to
well,
using this tablet, but literally I come over to one area of my flat and like so if I can press a
yeah.
button.
Hey, Andrew, we're gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and move on to the next person now. But thank you for
Hmm.
sharing. I think what you shared is really important and relevant to what so many of us face, which is falling into that pattern of stretching ourselves too thin, filling our plates with obligations, and then feeling like we're not getting back what we're putting into all of this effort. The thank yous feel good for a moment, but then we realize that we're really expending our energy and our efforts in a place that isn't giving us back what we truly want. And I know several of you that I see here that are in my deeper, more advanced programs can probably relate to how important it is to break out of this pattern so that you can start seeing for yourself what you can create when you do prioritize yourself, when you do break out of these people pleasing behaviors and really start creating more of what you want. So Ron says the 5 day work has been a great reminder, and it's a process that I have to keep up with my with stopping my procrastinations. I hear you, Ron. It's so easy to put off the hard stuff, the things that don't feel easy, the things that feel challenging. This is another way. It's easy to say, yes, I'll help you move, I'll help you do this, I'll give all my all to all the things when people are asking us to do things because they might value me and appreciate me and make me feel good. And then subconsciously
Babysit.
what's that? Babysitting? Yeah, yep. Ron's a new grandpa. Both his daughters just had kids, so he's in a new world. But yeah, I know. Ron, would you like to share a little bit about what that experience has been like for you and trying to juggle procrastinating, doing things for yourself, and filling obligations, and how that's been affecting you?
Well, Zach, initially I think I was doing pretty good. And I don't know, what happened. Um, and you know this, it's not going to surprise you. And Don predicted it. Um, but the concerns got greater than myself.
You're concerned for your
And so,
and kids?
uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh. And
And
so I, well, I'm going to say could. I have to say can. I haven't gotten over it completely. I
mm,
can be pulled away quite easily.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it's all coming from a loving place. You care about the people in your life and you want to be there for them. And it's hard to say no sometimes, especially when you realize that they're going to have to figure out, alternate arrangements and it might be inconveniencing them in some way. But what we sometimes forget is how this is inconveniencing us. I know many times you've had to put off the things that you most wanted to do for yourself because your kid needed a babysitter and there was no one else to do it. The hard truth is in these situations, we're really, although it feels like we're jumping and rising to the occasion and doing people favors, we're actually enabling others to not really step up for themselves and really create that level of independence. And trust me, I know this firsthand. I lived in that whole situation, that whole pattern for such a long time for myself on the receiving end, but I didn't really know how to step up and do for myself when the people that I looked to for the help and the support weren't available to me. And when Andrew started setting a lot more boundaries in our relationship many years ago, it was actually one of the most greatest acts of kindness. Even though it felt like he was withholding love from me, I really saw it as an opportunity to step up for myself and start really growing. And as a result, I've never been more proud of what I've been able to create. Was it easy in the beginning? Oh my gosh, no. I had to learn how to basically grow up at a later stage in the game than most. But I'm really grateful for all of these experiences because it's helped shape me into the man that I am today, that can really understand firsthand what it's like to be on the other side of the spectrum as most of you guys who are falling into that caregiver role unintentionally. Because as Ron showed so beautifully, it's coming from the most loving place. But I think you're understanding how important it is to treat yourself with the same compassion, the same kindness, the same generosity as you're treating other people. That's the missing part. Because I'm never going to stand here and say you need to be cold and you need to be mean and you need to be selfish and greedy and just say, fuck everybody else. That's not the solution. But it's creating that balance where, self-love and self-care isn't necessarily always about me first, but it's about me too. And that's how we're able to create the win-win scenarios where everybody's getting what's really best for them at the end of the day.
Yeah, Zach, and that's what these 5 days have done. I realized that I've slipped off my path further than I thought, and I'm climbing back on.
Yeah. Well, hey, when we're all human, we're all going to stumble and fall. I catch myself at least once a day going to some sort of ruminating, stressful, worried place. And what we get to do is we get to honor ourselves when we realize, oh, I took a step in the wrong direction. The last thing we want to do is kick ourselves and beat ourselves up for veering off the path for a moment or longer. But recognizing, wow, I am learning. I was able to recognize that I was headed in a direction that doesn't serve me or others in the highest good.
Right.
And now I get to find my way back. And I love that about you, Ron, that you're able to course correct and over the course of the time we've worked together, I know it's been a few months since we last worked together, but it's beautiful to see over the last year and a half of just what a transformation you've made. For those of you who don't know Mr. Ron Caillou, he came to us. If Ron, can I brag about you a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Ron came to us having never been in a romantic relationship with another man, despite his efforts, but had fallen into that pattern that so many of us do as gay men, thinking, I kind of missed the bus and I've got these kids and this family to take care of, and that's my priority. And letting yourself fill that role exclusively. And then as you step up more and more as a dad, or for others who step up more and more in your career, or both, we just tend to neglect more and more of the area that doesn't feel comfortable, that doesn't feel confident. And then before you know it, we don't know what to do. I love that, Ron, you've really been willing to face some of those reasons why dating and relationships felt so tough. And as a result, how long have you and Dawn been together now?
A year.
Wow, congratulations. Like join me guys in celebrating Mr. Ron. His first relationship with a man that's lasted a year. And what's it feel like? I know, isn't it beautiful? What's it feel like, Ron, to after all this time to have and I know there's always more room for growth. I know that, as you mentioned, gosh, I'm still finding myself falling into that caregiver energy, but just celebrating how far you've come, what's it like to have that special man in your life?
It's absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
What are your favorite?
I look forward to every minute that we can spend with each other.
Oh, I love that for you so much, Ron. You deserve that level of love.
Thank you, Zach.
Honor you for stepping up and taking the necessary actions to create that for yourself. Because love doesn't come knocking on our doors, does it?
Nope.
No. We've got to take the necessary actions. Ron, thanks for sharing. I'm so glad you're here with us
Thank
today.
you, Zach.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I see David C says, I was surprised to find out. And for those of you watching, I'd love for any of you who have specific questions or anything that you want coaching about, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. And I'm just going to go through these one by one, and we're going to see how much we can accomplish and knock out today. So for those of you who have any burning desires or any questions about anything that we covered, because I know a lot of things we talked about day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 weren't necessarily easy to hear. It's kind of hard to hear the mistakes that we're making being presented to you on a Facebook Live video and feeling maybe a bit exposed, feeling maybe a bit vulnerable. And some of you might have some questions about things we talked about. And now is your chance to get more clarity about anything that was covered. And also, when we made our sovereign desire on day 1, really getting clear on what we want, that clarity is so important. But a lot of you may be wondering, well, how do I achieve that? How do I make that a reality? In one session, it might be challenging to help you get to the finish line. Who knows? Anything is possible. But I'd love to at least be able to point you in the next best steps, which is where we have to focus on. What is the next step that I can take that's going to move me just an inch closer to achieving my goal? So be typing in the chat as we have these conversations, and we'll see what all we can cover today. Sound good, guys? Thumbs up? All right, all right. Great. David C. says, I was surprised to find out I've already been working on facets of this work. It gives me reasonable hope that is achievable if I focus on it. Awesome, David. Would you like to share a little bit more about what you've been realizing? And I love this excitement that you're feeling. Please share more.
Sure. So it actually came to me in the homework from yesterday's event when you asked for a recent example of how I've overextended myself or how I felt after doing that. I was like, I came to the realization that actually I really have instead of having a recent example of that, I really have a recent example of setting healthy boundaries, of actually not overextending myself and actually doing, treating myself well. I was surprised.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. It's so important to celebrate these wins and honor our progress along the way. And sharing this makes me think about Ron too. I know this is something we've worked on a lot because we all have this negativity bias, right? We're all programmed for survival. And even in the 2020s that we're in this modern world, we still have a little bit of that survival caveman brain that causes us to focus on the challenges and the problems and the bad things. Like we can have a day where 10 things happen and 9 of them are really great, over the moon, but there's that one thing that really stings and really is uncomfortable and isn't what we want. 9 out of 10 great things happen, but what's the thing that we focus on the most? That one thing that didn't go well, that one thing that didn't result in what we were most wanting. And it's so important because as we grow and as we step into the new levels of fulfillment and confidence and trust and empowerment, it's really easy to be thinking about the next hurdle or that next challenge. But what we focus on, and I know I'm looking at Dale, what we focus on is what we attract, because Dale's one of my one-on-one clients, and we've been really hammering in the importance of focusing on what we want to create more of. And so, David, you sharing this is so beautiful because, it sounds like before you did this homework assignment, that really hadn't even registered for you.
I didn't realize my boundaries were getting healthy. I knew they had to, but I didn't realize that I was actually already working on it.
Right. So many of us, we're going through the motions. We're all doing the best that we can, but without anchoring in our wins, when things do start to feel stressful and heavy, as they do in life from time to time, it's easy to forget that, wait, I am capable of navigating this. I do have what it takes to step up for myself and set healthy boundaries. I am worthy and important enough to say no. And that's not always going to be easy, especially when we have those deep-seated people-pleasing tendencies. Because we all want to be liked, we all want to be loved, we all want to belong, but sometimes we go about it in self-defeating ways. But I think it's beautiful, David, that you're recognizing, hey, I am important enough to say no. I am important enough to step up for myself. And yeah, wishing you all the best as you continue this journey. Keep
Thanks.
Celebrating those wins, my man.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. All right. Thaddeus says hi. David C says healthy boundaries. Yes. Darren says, sometimes you know what you should do, but you don't take your own advice. Oh my gosh. Welcome to my world. It's so easy for me to see when I'm working with amazing men like you, the next thing that is going to help you move the direction and the needle in the realm of where you want things to go. And to see the glitches and the blind spots in other people. It's a lot easier to see that in other people than it is sometimes for ourselves, because when we're kind of in our own, excuse my language, when we're in our own shit, it can be tough to see through and have a clearer picture of what's going on. This is really why I know that I'm always going to want to have coaches and mentors, because I'm human too. And although I have come such a long way and I'm well equipped to support others, I still want to keep growing. I don't want to stay stuck and not being able to see my way through things when I might have some blind spots. So it's such a beautiful thing to gift ourselves that level of support so that we can really move a lot quicker. Because left to our own devices, when we have a lot of past programming, a lot of self-doubt and insecurities, and a lot of pain from the past that we don't want to relive, we tend to err on the side of caution, right? And with that, we tend to kind of play small and maybe avoid the things that could really be most helpful or most beneficial for us. We might tend to avoid the growth opportunities because we're afraid it might be painful, or we might feel rejected or judged, or we might feel embarrassed. And those are the fears that keep so many of us in survival mode. That's what keeps so many of us from really stepping into that next level of trust and empowerment and confidence. And when I say trust, I'm really referring to self-trust. At the end of the day, that's really what's underneath the deepest of our programming, is not trusting that we're good enough, not trusting that we're important enough or valuable enough to set the boundaries like David realized he was able to do, or to have a boyfriend like Ron was realizing he was able to do and has enjoyed for the past year. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Darren. Anything else you'd like to add to that? You're muted. If you'd like to unmute, I'd love to hear more from you. Oh, Darren, you're muted. You have to hit unmute on your, I don't know if you see it.
Oh,
There we go.
okay. Well, like I said, sometimes you know what to do, but you do the wrong thing. The blockers come in, and you just do what you think they want you to do instead of what you really should do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to get over that sometimes. And what you were talking about, the trust, that I totally agree with that too.
Yeah, it's hard. Who can relate to what Darren just said? Show of hands. You know what you should be doing, but sometimes you can't. Sorry, I'm laughing. Dale, I'm just like this is, you're coming so far, and I love all of you so much, and I love that we can just kind of, really highlight ourselves and the areas where we have room for growth. Dale, since I'm picking on you a little bit, I'd love to ask you to unmute yourself if you don't mind, and please don't be mad at me. But you've come, so far, and I love how things are really starting to click. But tell us about what it's been like for you, if you don't mind being vulnerable and sharing a bit of knowing what you need to be doing, but not quite getting yourself to be able to do it. What's that been like for you, if you don't mind sharing with the group?
Yeah, that's I know full well what I need to do, and sometimes I've gotten, I kind of go uphill and then go down again, and then I'm coming back up again. But with Zach's help, and I think it's just it's also I'm learning that I'm so hard on myself, and I'm sure a lot of you are too, and really just being more gentle with myself, and giving myself room to make mistakes and not expecting everything. It's more like to happen, not expecting everything to happen all at once. It's more like I'm starting to celebrate each little win, like Zach was talking about. And each little win, it just keeps me going,
Yeah.
and if I have a fall down one day, well, I say, well, that's fine. I'm just going to pick myself back up. But it's really, really reprogramming yourself in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Our programming runs, thanks for sharing, Dale. I honor your vulnerability.
Sure.
Yeah, our programming, I mean, it runs so deep, guys. It stems from childhood. As soon as we learned something about us was different or not good enough, the first time we felt judged or shamed or embarrassed, that started planting seeds of, oh, I'm not okay at my most natural state. And we learned that we have to conform or adjust or be certain ways to feel that acceptance and that love. And that's why so many of us have really adopted those types of self-sacrificing, people-pleasing behaviors that we think will make people like us. And that is what made us feel valuable and made us feel important. But at the end of the day, in this modern world, when it comes to meeting guys that we're really attracted to, or even making friendships and deep and meaningful connections, that trying too hard is going to repel most people. But it does attract a certain group, like we talked about yesterday, which are people that that feel like they can benefit from that generosity and that kindness. It's a tough pattern, but it can be broken. It requires us to do what we just talked about, that self-trust that I am worthy of saying no, and that I honor and value myself enough that if I say no and this person walks away from my friendship or this relationship because I'm not willing to sacrifice myself in a disempowering way, that might feel challenging and there can be a bit of a learning curve for everybody involved. But when we stop energetically settling for those types of relationships and connections, it can feel scary that, well, if I don't have that, I won't have anything. And guys, that's the mindset, that survival mindset that keeps us in that state of settling and tolerating and not living our most fulfilling lives. But when we can step above that and be willing to let go of those types of connections, if they're not willing to rise up and meet us at a higher level, it does energetically, it's like an energetic filtration system, and it really makes room for more of what we do want, more of what we do desire in our lives as far as connections and fulfillment goes. And back to you, Dale. I think it's beautiful to be able to celebrate our wins and to monitor our progress, even if even if it feels like we're just 1 or 2 days in to making big changes and making some positive shifts. We can feel like, well, I'm scared to celebrate because what if I don't want to get my hopes up and get disappointed, right? How many of you have felt that way? Well, this is where we get to just trust that, hey, we're not focused on the end result. We're focused on one day at a time, making those shifts, making one step in the direction of where we want to go, and celebrating ourselves when we make those successful moves. And before you know it, those small steps, just like I was telling Dale yesterday, those small steps, they turn into leaps and jumps and strides. And before you know it, you've built so much momentum, you're creating all of the things that you truly desire. But this is all internal work. So many of us look for the external results, and we think, well, when I have the relationship, then I can feel grateful. When I have the thriving career or the hot body that I've been craving, then I can feel really confident and good about myself. That's actually not how it works. We've got to really trust and believe that we can have those things and give ourselves permission to really focus on more of what we want so that we can have it and bring it into our reality. It's really the law of how energetics works. It's not easy, but it actually is pretty simple when we get the hang of it. Although we can definitely overcomplicate things. Am I right? All right, all right. Beautiful, beautiful. Who would like to go next? Anyone want to raise your hand and ask a question or anything else coming up for you guys based on what we're talking about? I love seeing some faces I haven't seen in a while. Good to see you, Roger. Good to see you, Andrew. Speaking of familiar faces, I'd love to highlight someone who just recently made a big decision for himself to join the Thriving Gay Man Mastermind, Andrew Richardson. I'd love to call on you and ask you to share, and I'd love to celebrate you for taking this big step. Tell us a little bit about what made you decide to embark upon this exciting journey.
Well, it's 4 years since I did the weekend online course, and I feel as though I've kind of stayed stuck, being single for that time. And I thought, well, this is an opportunity. I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
What was that?
I'm ready to give it a go. The mastermind.
I love that for you. What is your biggest desire? What are you most wanting to work on? I hear building relationships really important to you. What are the things that you're most wanting to gain and achieve and go and stepping into this new experience?
Well, like I'm 51 now, and I've always put people before me. So when we was talking about time, I think last night, I realised that I need time for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how does it feel to take this big step for yourself by enrolling in this program and getting top level support to make these changes?
I'm excited about it all.
Beautiful.
I'm excited about it all.
Awesome, Andrew. Well, buckle up. This journey is just beginning. I'm so excited to be supporting you and to get to
Can I just share something as well?
Please, we'd love to
And
hear.
yeah, soon when it gets a bit warmer, I'll be doing the skydive.
What? Wow. Well, look at you.
Yeah,
Literally flying, literally soaring. I love
hands
that.
on you.
Wow. Wow. Well, we're gonna have to talk more about that. I'm excited for you. Well, Andrew,
I know, thank
congratulations again for stepping up. We'll be creating some really beautiful things together.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I see DJ typed in the chat. This whole week had me thinking about everything that has happened, and I also have been turning people away and staying away from people that are negative. But I have two family members that I can't cut away for some reason. But when I'm around them, I feel like they make me convert back to what I'm working so hard to leave behind. Oh, DJ, I'd love for you to unmute yourself. Let's talk more about this. They make me feel like I have to leave behind all what this week has opened my eyes to, and I don't know what I should do. DJ, honoring
Yeah.
your ability. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I know we were chatting in
Okay.
Messenger a bit about this. Tell us a bit
Yeah.
about, first, I'd love to hear what you're realizing about yourself and what you're most wanting. Starting with our desire is such an important thing. What is it that you're most wanting?
Coming, it's been very hard for me to present myself as myself, because my family's always like, it's not right. They're, very Christian based family, and some of them they understand, but most of them are like, well, we love you no matter what you are. Um, but it's just, very hard to um, make myself be me and realize who I am, and that's what I want. I know who I am, and I'm finally ready to, embrace it and not care what they think, because I have people that do care for me and
Yeah,
who are there for me all the time.
yeah. DJ, I just want to share. It's a very natural thing to want to feel that unconditional love and support from the people in our world. It's hard to not want that approval and that acceptance and that validation from the people in our lives. Am I right,
Right.
guys? Can y'all relate to that? That just that natural need and that want and that desire. I just want you to share, DJ, that is you can keep yourself. Oh, I hear this in background noise. But yeah, I understand that. Yeah, that want and that need. And it sounds like, although they don't agree with you, they are saying that I love you, and they're doing the best that they can to be supportive. But tell me a bit about what's making you feel like you have to resort back to the old way of being. What's making you feel like it's not okay to be the way that you are?
My older brother and who, I guess she's like my older sister, but she's not really my sister. They've been separated for a while now, but when I'm around him, he just he accepts me, but we haven't really talked about it that much, and it just makes me feel weird, because when I was younger, he made always would make jokes about it, and it's like he told me before, he's like, he kind of knew, like, before I even told him anything, and it just makes me feel like that's the way he wants me to be, is like not who I am, but what he wants me to be. And then my older sister, she just like, she's the one that says she's accepting, but then she's the one that's like, oh, I need this for your nephew, or I need this for your niece, and is just always wanting something that I need, him just because she was there through everything. I always feel like I give in, and I feel like when I'm around her, I feel like all my hard work that I was trying to work for just gets tossed out the window, and I try really hard not, for
Okay.
that.
DJ, yeah, I'm gonna stop you there. So tell me a little bit about, what do you feel, sometimes we can convince ourselves that we need other people to act in a certain way so that we can feel better about ourselves. Tell me a little bit about, what do you feel you really wish that your brother and your sister or your family were doing differently, that would help you feel better about yourself and help you feel more confident? What is it that you feel that you wish they would be doing differently? What do you think they should do differently?
Um, like just try to be supportive and not, always asking, can you do, can you give me this or can you do that? And just take a note that they need to, I want to step back and just like tell them that, this is me, and, if you don't, want to be a part, that's okay. And I just want them, yeah, to realize that I'm stronger than what they think am.
What I'm hearing you say, DJ, and there is a lot of background noise. It's hard to hear everything, but what I'm hearing from you is that you have this belief that they should be supportive of me, they should accept me, they should celebrate me for who I am as a gay man, and not expect me to be different. Does that feel like it's kind of at the core of what's bothering you?
Right. Yeah. You're right, Pat.
How do you feel? This is going to be helpful for everyone to pay attention to. I want you to be thinking about where in your life you feel like other people should be doing something different so that you could feel better, so that you could be happier, so that you could feel more confident. It's really common for us to look. I used to do this with Andrew all the time. If only he was more organized and neat, I wouldn't have to spend so much time cleaning up. I know it's a really silly example, but it's really easy for us to think if only this person was doing something different, then I could feel better, then I could feel happier. DJ, how do you feel when your brother or your sister says something that feels like they're not being supportive, and you think they should accept me, they should love me for who I am, they should support me and celebrate me? How does that make you feel when you think they should do that and they're not?
I feel like I'm little again, like they're little, like when I was little, it just makes me feel like I can't do nothing about it, and I have to hunker down and be that little scared little kid in the corner, and
Yeah.
I have to do what they say, kind of.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Because they're older than me and they know better. So it kind of triggers this old persona of when you were a little boy looking up to them, and it's triggering that part of you that feels small. And when we think I can't do anything about it, that's going to create a feeling or emotion of helplessness, right? Does that sound correct, DJ?
Yeah, yeah,
So I hear it when you think they should be supportive, they should accept me, it triggers feelings of helplessness, fear, of feeling like you don't have power or control. And when you're feeling that way, DJ, what do you do? How do you act and behave?
I kind of just I clam up and I stop talking and I just go back to just being quiet and being the shy one in the corner.
Right, right. Which is a really natural response. When we're feeling this way, when we're feeling powerless and helpless, like no matter what we do, it can't make a difference. Who's ever felt that way? Show of hands. Like no matter what I do, I can't win. No matter what I do, things aren't going to get any better. And when we think that thought, it tanks our motivation. It takes our confidence. It tanks our just inspiration to do something positive for ourselves. And we naturally go into that very lethargic, very closed off, very sheltered, very protective place where we, as DJ says, we clam up, we kind of shut down, we make ourselves small, and we kind of just isolate ourselves from the world, which is a normal response when we're having these beliefs. But the cool thing about this is we have the power to change our thoughts. It's not an easy thing. Trust me, I know after doing this work for 7 or 8 years, I understand it's not like we just flip a switch and we can just change our whole belief systems. But what we get to do, DJ, and for all of you, is we get to begin questioning our thoughts. We get to begin questioning these disempowering beliefs so that we can start shifting our energy to focus on more of what we do want. Because DJ, who would you be? What would be different for you if your brother or sister said something and it felt like they weren't being super supportive, but you couldn't have this thought that they should support me, they should accept me, they should celebrate me for who I am and not ask me to be different? DJ, what would be different for you if you couldn't think those thoughts?
I'd probably not like given as much, and it'd be like tell them, no, I have to do this. This is what I have to do. I'm an adult now too, and you have to realize that I have my own life, and this is what I'm gonna go with, and
Yeah.
not
How do
hide
you
as much.
feel? Like, did you guys notice a shift in DJ's energy just now? I sure did. DJ, how does it feel to say that? To understand these people don't agree with me. Like we're not seeing eye to eye, but they can think what they think. I'm a grown ass man, and I don't have to be who they want me to be. I get to be DJ, and
Right.
I get to make my decisions and be my own person. Look at that smile on DJ's face. How do you
I just
feel?
want to say, DJ, take it 1 second at one day at a time, because that's something I
Yeah.
had to learn.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna go back to DJ right now, okay? I appreciate it. So DJ, I want you to share with us and stay in this moment. Tell me a little bit about what your emotions are like when you realize who you would be without that thought.
Um, happy, more happy, more outgoing. Then that scared feeling goes away, and I can just step out and shine.
Yeah, you get to step out and shine your light bright because you're not believing that you need other people's approval to shine your light, to be who you are. That's freedom. And you'll notice, did anything change externally? Are they acting differently? Is anything outside of you different? What's the thing that changed for you to find this happiness and this freedom that just happened so quickly? What changed?
Just the thought of that I don't have to think the way they want. I'm my own person. I can think my own feelings, and if they don't like what I'm saying, then they can be mad, and they can go get glad in the same hands they got mad in over there.
And
And just
they
like
and they
it's
get to
just like
mad. Just like if you're feeling sad, that's your responsibility, and you get to question your thoughts. If they feel mad and angry because you're not who they want you to be, is that your problem?
no,
Whose
that's what
problem
I'm
is that?
realizing. It's not my
That's
problem. It's their
that's
problem.
that's their problem, and wish them all the luck in the world and show them compassion to find peace. But you changing who you are or making yourself small, DJ, is not the solution. So glad that we're talking about this. And there's further steps that I'd love to take you through that we don't have time for today. But what I want you to be
Right.
thinking about is that this awareness is power. And we all have that survival energy. And it's easy to kind of forget and fall back into complacency and let these old things repeat themselves. But DJ, it's your job to remind yourself every moment how I feel about me is my responsibility. I get to decide. And instead of saying they should support me, they should accept me, they should celebrate me,
Right.
yes, I get to support me. I want you to say it.
I get to support me. I get to be my person. I get to be happy and me.
Yes, yes. Guys, join me in a round of applause for DJ. That is beautiful, beautiful work. Good job, DJ. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing it. Now you
No
get to
problem.
take what we talked about today and you get to remind yourself. And for those of you who want to go deeper, this is kind of the nature of what we get to do together, but it goes so far beyond this because it's about learning the skills and the tools to be able to put this new awareness into practice. Because we've all had a lifetime of experiences that shape the way we see ourselves, that shape the way we see other people, that cause us to have this negativity bias that makes us forget about the small wins and focus on the challenges. It's going to be tough to not feel a little triggered the next time they tell you you should be different than you are. But for those of you who want to really learn how to get underneath this programming, this is what the Thriving Game Man Mastermind is all about. And mastering the inner game and really learning how to rewire and reprogram is really where we begin on this beautiful journey. And I'm really excited to be sharing these tools with Andrew and others who are joining. And for those of you who are wanting to explore this really beautiful experience, this is a bit of a taste of what we get to do together. We get to come together as a group of gay men who all have our own unique journeys. I mean, look at the uniqueness and the diversity in this group of just all these beautiful men that I'm looking at right now. We get to come together and we get to really unite in a common goal of wanting to make improvements, wanting to better ourselves, wanting to support each other to create more peace and more joy, more balance, more connection, more fulfillment, more romance, more passion. These are things that we all want and crave as gay men, but we've all created these limitations in our mind of what we believe is and isn't possible. We've all created these barriers, these internal blocks that make us think, I can't be happy until I have their approval, or I can't have what I want until I do X, Y, and Z. And we let our inner saboteur and we let our gremlin, which is our inner critic, block us from what we most desire. Well, guys, I just want to celebrate each of you for showing up this week and being willing to take a close look at what's underneath the surface. Take a close look at the challenges and the blocks that are keeping you from your most thriving life. And while I wish I could stay on and continue this conversation, I want to honor, all of our time. But I do want to invite each of you for day 5 to really be thinking about if taking this next step is something that you desire for yourself. Because this is where the journey really begins, is by really stepping into that next level. And it can feel scary to make a big investment in yourself. Dale, am I right? Ron, am I right? Roger, am I right? It can feel scary to invest in yourself. Ed, am I right? It can feel like, holy shit. But at the end of the day, when we think about what we really want, the question is, what are you willing to do to get it? Because I know each and every one of you, it's not like you're not trying to make these improvements, but I want you to know that my husband Andrew and I have put together our most valuable trainings and resources to help support you to really be able to get it, to really make it click, to really be able to not let yourself be so derailed by what other people are saying and doing when you feel like you're not getting the results that you want fast enough, and really being able to continue focusing on what you do want and how you do want to feel, building that self-trust in yourself, and as a result, building unshakable self-confidence so that no matter who's approving of you or not, who wants to be with you or sleep with you or not, who wants to whatever, you're not letting yourself be derailed by things outside of your control. And you're really tuning into what you can control, which is your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. And that's what really will create the results that you want. And that's what we partner with you to help you achieve whatever it is that you're most wanting for yourself, to get out of those ruts and really on the playing field of living fully and freely. So for those of you who are curious, if you haven't already, I really encourage you to fill out an application to schedule a call with me where we can really explore going a lot deeper into really what it is that you most desire for your kingdom, what's most standing in your way, and what are the best next steps for you to take. The Thriving Gay Man Mastermind is invitation only, and I'm only going to welcome and invite guys that I am very completely confident are going to get the results that they're most seeking for themselves. And just like I was speaking with Andrew, before he was like, sign me up, I'm ready to sign up. And I'm like, Andrew, wait, let's talk a little bit more. I want to make sure you know what you're getting into and that you're really ready to put in the effort so that you can get these changes, and got a lot of clarity on making sure that you are going to receive that transformation. Well, I shouldn't say receive, because I can't give you a transformation. I can't change or fix anything for any of you, but what I get to do is help point you in the right direction, help you check your blind spots, help you have new ahas like you just saw with DJ just a moment ago, and really being able to really partner together to chart that path forward for you to know exactly what next steps to take, what is going to work for you on your journey to achieving the things that you most desire for yourself. So for those of you who haven't, I encourage you to fill out this questionnaire. It's completely free. Schedule a call with me next week. For those of you who do enroll before the end of next week, you all get to save $1,000 off the Thriving Gaming Mastermind, which is an epic savings. So I really want to encourage you to, even if you just have a curiosity of what this could do for you or how this could expand your horizons, what this could open up. I think even having these conversations, these one-on-one conversations is incredibly valuable. And as a gift to you, I'd love to meet with you to really explore what next steps you can take. And if it's not the Thriving Gaming Mastermind, I will want to point you in the direction of what I suggest you can be doing and working on to make some big improvements. So Kings, great work this week. I want to celebrate all of you for being willing to look at some uncomfortable things, because avoidance is never going to create what we want. Burying things under the rug and bottling things up, while it might make us feel better in the moment, just like coping mechanisms, we still have to face ourselves eventually. We can't run forever. And for those of you who are ready to stop running, to stop avoiding, to stop questioning, to stop doubting and not knowing what's not working and what to do, what's up from down, especially when it comes to dating and relationships, which is tough for gay men, this is the place to come to really find the answers so that you can start creating the results that you want. Gentlemen, I want you to be on the lookout for the day 5 homework assignment. I'll be posting in just a moment in the group, where I really want to hear from you, kind of like we started this conversation today, just to simply share some of your biggest takeaways, some of your biggest aha moments during this 5-day challenge that you're taking away as one step further towards you achieving your goals, whether we continue together in the Thriving Gay Man Mastermind or not. So be on the lookout for that homework assignment. And for those of you who participate in all 5 days of the homework assignment, I am doing a drawing. 2 of you will receive an additional $1,000 off that you can use towards the mastermind. So make sure that you've done all 5 days homework, and there's a good chance you could win that additional savings. So it's been such a joy sharing this experience with you. Nothing other than my marriage with Andrew and probably sex with my husband brings me more pleasure than supporting gay men like you to achieving that satisfaction and that fulfillment in your lives. We have a tough go at it, us gay men. We grew up realizing from a really early age that something about us is different. And I know if you're like me, you created a story that something about you isn't good enough, something about you isn't okay. And that's what's created the beliefs and the behavioral patterns that are keeping you in some of the people-pleasing, self-sacrificing behaviors. Those are the things that are keeping you subconsciously doubting and overthinking and questioning yourself. That leads to the inaction and leads to the isolation, like DJ was sharing earlier. Well, all of this is learned behavior, my friends. And with learned behavior, it can be unlearned. And the cool thing about this work is, as it's taken a lifetime for you to create the belief systems that you have today, undoing that can happen very quickly with the right support. And in my opinion, in my experience, I don't know of any other programs in the world that support gay men on the level that we do. So if you're ready to take your life in your own hands and really understand what you can do differently to create fulfillment in every area, I highly recommend scheduling this call, filling out this questionnaire, and meeting with me next week, where we can talk about what will be the next best steps for you. Great work, everyone. Much love for all of you. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day and a fabulous weekend and a fabulous 2024. And I look forward to seeing those of you in the Facebook group and those of you who decide to schedule this call. I look forward to meeting and connecting with you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.